a perfect picture doesn't mean a perfect life. So what does it mean by being perfect? I'm Shanyu from grade 11 of the IBDP curriculum, and to respond to this, let me share my journey to getting answers. About 3 to 4 years ago, when I was in grade 7, my friends slowly started shifting away from Google Hangouts to Instagram as their default messaging tool. They had older siblings who used Instagram, so naturally they wanted to shift to Instagram too. But my 12-year-old self, on the other hand, considered Instagram as a grown-up's mode of communication. So one evening, I go to my mom and I ask her if I can make an account for myself, if I could get Instagram. She said, "Get what?" And since she was as clueless as me, I went ahead and made an account for myself. It said 12 plus. It said 13 plus. I was just 12, but I didn't think that 1 year would make a difference. The next day, I go to my friends and I tell them that I made an account and that we could start texting each other over there. But it didn't stop there. While I thought I was making Instagram just to text my friends, they said, "Okay, great, but we've posted pictures, so check them out." And little did I know, this was the moment where I fell down the rabbit hole. I look at my friends share their favorite memories and their best experiences, and I thought, whoa, they're living fancy lives. And I started comparing my life to theirs. This led to my satisfaction levels drop significantly to the point where I started considering my life boring. I mean, don't tell me you wouldn't do the same if you were a 12-year-old sitting in your room staring at a digital screen while your friends were visiting fancy places and doing cool activities. Yeah, that was my state. And days went by before I realized that I was making these comparisons without any purpose, to the point where, my satisfaction levels dropped and everything I did didn't seem right. But fortunately, a series of events followed, and they stood as eye-openers. One such instance that I vividly remember was of a time where me and my friends went to a cafe after our exams. We had a lot of fun that day because we didn't have exam pressure as such. I won't bore you with details, but then there was this other group beside us who were glued to their phones, busy clicking pictures for their social media. Later that evening, when I come across their pictures, it looked like they had a blast. But I was there. I saw the reality. I saw what they did. So they did have fun, but from whose perspective? This was when I realized that faulty comparisons were the cause of my dissatisfaction. I was merely chasing the wind, caught up in a vicious cycle of approvals and validations. And moreover, no one really shares things they're embarrassed about. So in order to maintain like a perfect social status. But let me tell you, this perfect social status or perfect versions of themselves are just compilations of their best moments, their best looks, and their best selves over the internet. And we as viewers are comparing our imperfect lives to just the perfect sections of others' imperfect lives. And that is a battle we can never win. Another factor that I noticed was the number of people I was comparing myself to. And since internet is a vast or wide area where there's diverse individuals, one moment I would think completing a marathon was the perfect activity. Another moment I would think solving a Rubik's Cube in under 15 seconds was the perfect activity. And these vast varieties of so-called perfect activities meant that I myself didn't know what perfection was. And there was no point in trying to attain this when I didn't know what I was trying to aim for. And the fact that perfection is such an abstract term meant that even if I did live the life my friends appeared to live on social media, I would still feel like I'm missing out on something. And this is otherwise known as FOMO. And the real danger of FOMO being combined with social media is that users are trapped in this endless loop where they use social media to deal with their existing FOMO. But this use of social media is what ends up causing FOMO again. And to make things even worse, about 33% of the millennials agree that they've tried to create FOMO among their peers, which explains why about 69% of the millennials have been a victim of FOMO. And here's a few more statistics to show how deep the issue actually is. So does this mean that the issue is with social media and that all of us need to stop using it? Well, we've already been flooded with a lot of comments such as social media is killing us. But the question I asked myself was, is it social media or is it me? And that's when I realized that this pattern was prominent in my daily life across all aspects. For instance, when I missed a perfect score by just 1 mark, I was considerably more disappointed when compared to missing it by a handful of marks. And this showed me how I was aiming for perfection rather than betterment. Then I wondered why this issue isn't widely spoken about, because this is clearly a huge deal, but turns out a really popular graphic surfaced the internet a while back. The graphic illustrates how participants who placed third were happier when compared to the participants who placed second. And as surprising as it sounds, this was explained as a result of wondering what could be. So the participants who placed second were disappointed they weren't first. They were in the perfect position. But the participants who were third were just happy to be on the podium. And this showed me how it was my mindset that needed to change, since I can't really expect to control each and every factor around me. Then came another aspect to this issue, and I'd like to call it the game of numbers. So when there's viewers like me who consume content over the internet, there's also going to be creators of this content, and these creators have a different set of hurdles. So while viewers like me were trying to attain perfection in terms of individuality, these creators were trying to attain perfection through numbers. Numbers in terms of likes, shares, and whatnot. And to be more considerate, to attract their potential viewers with their immaculate versions. And thinking about it, I as a viewer wouldn't want to watch a video that isn't intriguing or alluding. But then again, as the good old saying suggests, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Meaning that likes and dislikes are highly subjective with no yardstick to perfection. And when you don't know this abstract term, then there is no point in trying to attain this. And too often we fall captive to the same trap and labor to blind our imperfections with the glare of the world where the self is invisible. So what is it that I want you guys to take away from this? It's not that I want you to stop using social media. It's not a warning against its potential consequences either. It's not about social media or technology at all. It's about us. Our unique self is purposed. You and I are too unique to be framed within a social mirror. And as cheesy as it sounds, even if one piece is missing, the whole puzzle is incomplete. Likewise, our life is incomplete without us embracing our unique imperfections. Thank you.